What's up guys, it's Zero here, and today I want to talk about my Final Fantasy experience so far. Now, the funny thing is that the footage you're seeing right now of this character specifically is literally from 2 years ago when I decided to try this game. Now, I like Final Fantasy. I've always enjoyed the aesthetics of Final Fantasy, the storytelling, the characters, the graphics of almost every Final Fantasy I enjoyed, even when I was a kid playing Final Fantasy VII. I always liked Final Fantasy. I believe the biggest reason why I didn't enjoy the game 2 years ago, however, is the simple fact that I had other people around me kind of influencing, what was good about the game and what was bad about the game. Even the year later, when I started playing the game, I was enjoying it, but I was kind of waiting around to play with other people rather than just playing it on my own. This time around, I'm playing on my own, but other people wanted to play with, and they're also newer to the game. So the experience is all about learning and trying to figure things out, and obviously that's great about MMOs. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about why Final Fantasy XIV is a pretty solid MMO so far. So originally when I played Final Fantasy XIV, I didn't really get into the story all that much. I didn't try to read it, I just skipped all of it and I was like, we're gonna get to the end game because supposedly that's where the game gets good. However, this time we did listen to the story as well as read a lot of the dialogue, and it was pretty solid for the most part. I actually enjoyed the parts that actually had voice acting, and I had to look it up because I thought I may have had some kind of sound issue. But supposedly, back in the day, the main story couldn't be voiced because of the resource and time restrictions. So I was like, okay, I could give them the benefit of the doubt and actually read the dialogue because that's how the original Final Fantasy was. There was no voice acting. So I was fine with reading it up to a point because it just kind of got repetitive in a slight fashion. Like there were certain parts where you were going back and forth just to get this little bit of dialogue. I was just like, I'm okay, I'm good. Needed to get around it. But for the most part, everything that I've read, a lot of the major things that happened in the storyline, I enjoyed completely. I also like that the classes have their own storyline along with the main story. Seriously, overall, it's really good. If you end up playing this game, I highly recommend you read it because it's actually pretty interesting. And the cutscenes are actually kind of cool. And definitely when the antagonists pop up, they're pretty cool. They are really cool. And there was a plot twist, so if you don't read, yeah. So you gotta watch the cutscenes for sure. But overall, the story is pretty good. I didn't expect to get that Final Fantasy experience out of a Final Fantasy MMO. Now I know that won't make sense to a lot of you, but at least at the end of the day, I can say that I listened, watched, and read majority of the Final Fantasy XIV story so far, and it's fucking awesome. So the combat so far is actually pretty good, but so far as in being level 50. When it was 1 through 30, I didn't have the most pleasant experience, but this is 100% my fault. When I first played the game 2 years ago, I decided to play Rogue, which was fine. I definitely remember enjoying Rogue, but I believe we had someone playing that wanted to play Rogue, or there was something based around our team comp where somebody wanted to play something and I was like, fine, I'll switch. But I ended up switching to something I didn't enjoy, which was healer. And then somebody wanted to fill in for that. There was just too much class switching at the time. So the experience I could have had with my class just fell short based off of too much class switching. The second time around I played, which I believe is when Cry actually started playing for his video, I think I was trying to go for a tank, so I ended up playing Gladiator. And I actually really enjoyed playing Gladiator, but again, this was the time period where I was waiting to play with people and, trying to figure out who's going to be on at what time, just so they can get through dungeons quicker and I can get through dungeons quicker. Because when you're a tank, you get queues very quick, and if you're playing healer, you get queues really quick. But since I'm waiting around for people and stuff like that, I kind of fell out of liking the game and etc. Just playing the game and, enjoying the class. So I think I ended up playing by myself in between that time period, and I ended up buying a little boost for Lancer to be level 60. And I think around that time I was also going to pay for a story boost because I just wanted to play the end game stuff, but I didn't. So this time around when I came back, I ended up doing the Samurai quest line, and I played with Samurai from the level 18, or I think it's around level 20 storyline quests all the way up to 30. Around that time, I ended up learning the class, which was pretty good, and then I just continued playing from 30 to 50 as Samurai. The one disadvantage to this though is that you kind of have to learn your class in full, based on the fact that they do give you all the skills from 1 to 50, as well as traits. So it's one of those things where you're really gonna have to read through everything, learn everything, and unless you've played the game before, it's gonna be more of a handful. Definitely when you're playing a class like Samurai from level 18 story quest in dungeons, because it basically grays out half of your hotbar based on the fact that those skills are just way over leveled. Outside of dungeons and main quests though, you do get to try to figure out your rotation and stuff, which I thought was kind of cool, but you are limited in story, which makes a lot of sense. It's a good balance. But in terms of combat, it's pretty good, but it picks up very nicely from 30 to 50, and rightfully so. So I thought that was cool. I also thought the fact that a lot of the classes that you want to play, you kind of get the base understanding of them before you go into their advanced little class. So for example, Rogue is really fun and cool, but once you get to Ninja, shit changes because you have to learn how to do jutsus and shit like that, but they're giving you one piece at a time, so it's like easing you into the class rather than giving you like 60 skills to deal with and you're like, question mark? Nani the fuck, you know? So yeah, very cool. I like it. One thing I didn't like though is global cooldown, but looking up videos and Reddit and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of people don't like the global cooldown, but at this point it just is what it is. So far very enjoyable, but being at level 50 right now, there's still a hell of a lot of things that I need in terms of skills and stuff, so I still have a long way to go, and I still like that. You know, I'm at 50, this was the base end game, and I still have a lot to go. It gives me more hope for my class, if that makes any sense. On top of that, I'm probably going to do a little bit more switching around. I know that if you're going to switch classes, you need to kind of pick your second class so you can do all the side quests with that class. So that's something I'm going to have to do. But combat, pretty good, but I think it's way better from 30 to 50. So kind of, you know, try to last that long if you end up playing this game. So overall, when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, I'm actually a fan now. If you would have asked me around 2-3 years ago, I probably would have told you no. I'm more of a PvPer, not a PvEer, but if I can play with friends through PvE, I may have a fun experience, but I won't pay for a subscription. This time around, since I have a job, I don't mind paying for a subscription, and now that I actually like the game, I do plan on playing it further. So do expect another video of me talking about Heaven's Ward, and then eventually talking about Stormblood. And we also can't forget that Shadowbringers is coming out next year. So as a person who's coming in right now in this time period of the game being out for a decent amount of years, yeah, I have a lot to look forward to. Something new, a lot of the old content that is actually good content, and a good storyline. PvP is a thing in this game, so again, we're going to try that out and probably make a video on it just to talk about my thoughts when it comes to PvP. I still have to complete Palace of the Dead. We have a whole rack of classes we can try out. There's also a couple of modes I need to try out, like there's something called Feast. I don't know what it is yet. Can't wait to try it out. There's also the fact that this game has been out since 2010. Like, I can't get over that. Since 2010, it's been a whole, what, 8 years for me to give this game a real fucking chance. Like, all the shit talking that I did for this game, and I never really gave it a fair chance. Like, that's ridiculous. So my final verdict for Final Fantasy XIV is that it's an amazing experience. I highly recommend playing it with friends though, and on top of that, the combat's pretty solid. I do like the dungeons, I do like the PvE, I like the story. Everything about this game is pretty good, graphically and even aesthetically, as well as combat, except for global cooldown. But I don't think global cooldown is enough to just completely hate a game. So if you've never played Final Fantasy XIV, I recommend you do. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can definitely give it a thumbs up. If you want to not give a like or a dislike, or if you want to just dislike the video, that's fine too. But yeah, hopefully I see you guys in the next video. Stay frosty, and there's more to come. Later.